Cemeteries, by their very nature, are known to keep their secrets very well buried and away from the prying eyes of the living. But at this cemetery in Plattsburgh, New York, there is a fascinating secret hiding in plain sight. There has been an American military presence here since the War of 1812. The Army had a full garrison by the time of the Civil War, calling it the Plattsburgh Barracks. And it was a busy spot right up till 1946, when the Army abandoned the place. It was then acquired and expanded by the United States Air Force in 1953 and became a vital American military linchpin during the entire Cold War. But the airbase was decommissioned and closed in 1995, this after the Cold War had come to an end. Now, along Route 9, or as it's known here, U.S. Avenue, at the south end of what used to be the old base can be found the Old Post Cemetery, nestled in the White Pines. Not really noticed by that many passers-by, but many a historian consider the place a real find because nestled within its gates are the remains of military personnel dating all the way back to the Battle of Plattsburgh. And in the cemetery stands this rather imposing stone, a memorial marking the very first tomb of unknown soldiers in America. Keith Herculow, author and historian, has written extensively on the War of 1812.
Over the course of many years, there have been burials uncovered. So there were unknowns, and they're primarily American. We do have one British soldier here who was discovered in Beekmantown, actually, and his remains were taken out of the ground and planted here. And we have one Revolutionary soldier that was discovered on the property here years ago, and he is also buried in this area right behind me. Now, we have many unknowns from that period of time, and this particular monument is the first of the monuments to remember the unknowns of the War of 1812, but it's actually the first monument to the unknowns in our country's history, and most people don't realize that. This was put here in 1888.
The inscription on the marker reads, "Erected to the memory of unknown soldiers and sailors of the War of 1812, killed in action or dying of wounds received in the Battle of Plattsburgh."
Arlington Cemetery, 1932. That's when it officially became the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington Cemetery. Washington Square in Philadelphia, well, that didn't happen until the 1950s. We have a cemetery here that represents, from the War of 1812, a page in our history. But it's not only a page. We can put many pages together, each representing a certain period of time of conflict and memorializing the deaths of our soldiers in those particular places, and brought here, and it becomes a whole chapter in American history.
The Old Post Cemetery on Route 9 across from the Skyway Plaza in Plattsburgh, New York, is now on the National Register of Historic Places. It is owned and cared for by the city of Plattsburgh and labeled as a city park, making it open to the public year-round. This Tomb of the Unknowns here in Plattsburgh, New York, like the Tombs of the Unknown in Arlington and in downtown Philadelphia, should stand as reminders that they are erected in the memory of those brave soldiers who gave the last full measure of their devotion to their country. And they should stand as sentinels for all time to remind all people who are free everywhere that freedom is not free. For Mountain Lake Journal at the Old Post Cemetery in Plattsburgh, New York, I'm Derek Muirden.